welcome on stage our MCs for the evening, the one and only Dahlia Harris and Ryan Debonair Dixon.
Good evening, everyone. No, man, that not sound like we. Good evening, everyone. I love it. I'm so happy that you made it to witness yet another celebration of excellence in journalism in Jamaica. For over 76 years, the Press Association has championed and promoted its motto, a free press, the oxygen of democracy in Jamaica. That sound like, I'm going to say it again. A free press, the oxygen of democracy in Jamaica. And so here we are at the Courtly Auditorium for the 2022 staging of the National Journalism Awards presentation and show. Hey, Ryan, how are you doing?
All right. Hello to you too, Dahlia.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm so happy to be sharing this space with you.
Thanks.
Yes, and you're looking very well, very
Thanks,
good, very
thanks,
gorgeous.
Thanks.
All right.
You're looking very debonair. Same name, you know, Ryan Debonair.
I try.
Right.
Thank you. So, you know, tonight is going to be a great night of entertainment and celebration for those who produced work at the highest standard of journalism in Jamaica. Over the past year, this celebration is only possible because of our partnerships, including with our sponsors.
Of course, we remember that tonight's awards are for the calendar year 2022. It was postponed, and the 2023 awards will be staged as usual in November this year. So we're getting a brata, right? But what a year 2022 was for news, huh? And the new year, boy, it's bolted hot from the starting block and onto the tracks.
And speaking of the track, Dahlia,
Yes.
last year was a big year for our athletes.
Right.
And, you know, for track and field, to football, to many other sports in between.
Absolutely. Here's a look at some of the stories the people in this very room covered during the year.
This is the pig pen where young Winshay Barrett came with her sister to feed her family's pigs. It's been more than 12 hours now and she's missing.
People with disabilities, they not only play sports, but they should be able to sit and watch.
The brightest boy in Jamaican sport. How does Siobhan Blake balance the books and the track? The legacy of a father hovering over the sun. The Pottinger story of pride and determination. And the story of the Grafter Games held in Jamaica. How an island nation was challenged in an intense Caribbean rivalry.
The FLA gun licensing scandal erupted late last year following a damning report by the Integrity Commission alleging that the authority's former deputy chairman, Dennis Meadows, authorized an expedited gun license for his relative.
I used to walk, and after a period of time, I find myself go lower and lower.
So I go cause I sell the man the food, but I turn my back to the road. Me a blah 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 blah.
Mental illness is experienced by many worldwide. Unlike physical illnesses that can usually be seen, deteriorating mental health is often hidden and ignored, sometimes because of the demands of modern life.
The next step is to store it up properly so that you blend in the manure and the soil.
This is an ornamental horticulture class at Shortwood Practicing Primary and Infant School in St. Andrew. Ornamental horticulture is the study of ornamental plants used to decorate indoor and outdoor gardens.
Now, about 2 acres of this land was being cleared for farming before it was disrupted by an SCJ representative who say the land is simply unavailable.
We don't take sports seriously. Female athletes in track and field right now have risen to a level where we're talking about them breaking world records, and still they're not the box office draw.
Do you read food labels?
It's not a habit of mine, very rare.
Yes, most definitely. Because you have to know what you are consumed in this time, you know.
Jamaica is one of 10 countries in the region undertaking the Integrating Water, Land and Ecosystems Management in Caribbean Small Island Developing States (IWECO) project. The initiative is expected to significantly improve nature and its inhabitants over on the western end of the island.
As the silence of the morning gave way to chatter of a bewildered crowd, weeping, loud and questioning took hold from one woman who lost her only daughter and 4 of her grandchildren.
Me have been blowing a buckle, quad buckle. Me have her, me push her out. And they take me one daughter from me.
It's the story that has been dominating local headlines. A bloody end to a bizarre night of religious rituals on Norwood Avenue in Montego Bay, St. James.
Come from the north, come from the south, come from the east, come from the west. The airport shall be open for pure blood.
She died on the floor of the ICU alone.
It's one of the saddest cases that I've had to rule on.
She died. That's terrible.
Bank customers are teaming up with fraudsters to swindle cash from financial institutions in one of the latest money laundering schemes known as the Loader scam. But for these customers, it's not crime that's going to pay, but them.
The Barn, a special report looking at predator larceny in Jamaica. The stories.
As we open the door and come out and stand up a little bit, we hear a man say to me, say, don't move. So I text the police.
My neighbor tie her goat right in front of me when she wake up in the morning. That just a rope.
Wow. That is just a sample of why we're gathered here this evening. Can we get a round of applause for all our journalists and all the work that they've done? Like I just stood here listening and watching. It was so much. And we have the people in this room to thank for bringing us all that information. So this is why we're here, to see how members of the journalism fraternity covered these stories and more, and to see which entries stood out.
Now let's move right into tonight's program and welcome on stage to set the tone, PAJ President, Mr. Milton Walker.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Press Association of Jamaica National Journalism Awards. Congratulations to all winners and nominees. As president of the Press Association of Jamaica, I am proud to be part of this celebration of excellence in journalism. We're also happy to return face-to-face after 2 years of doing so online. Nothing beats having our fraternity come together to discuss issues affecting our profession and honoring those who have served us, while of course mindful that COVID is still with us. Tonight is the culmination of Journalism Week, the week being observed under the theme, A Free Press for a Better Jamaica. Journalism plays a critical role in shaping the narrative of our society and keeping our citizens informed. The work of journalists being recognized tonight exemplifies the best of our profession and inspires us to continue to strive for accuracy, integrity, and fairness in our reporting. I'd also like to take a moment to acknowledge the challenges faced by journalists in recent times, particularly increasing pressure to compromise our values and the threats to our safety. We must continue to support and protect freedom of the press and the rights of journalists to do their work without fear or intimidation. Jamaica boasts a very high rating on the Global Press Freedom Index. That's in large measure the result of your hard work, your pursuit of those unreported stories. I urge you to continue, as I'd like to say, what journalism is really all about, afflicting the comforted and comforting the afflicted. I also want to thank all our sponsors, many of whom have stuck with us for several years. Without your kind and thoughtful support, Journalism Week and the work of the Press Association of Jamaica would not be possible. Once again, congratulations to all tonight's winners and nominees. Let us continue to work together to uphold the highest standards of journalism and to serve the people of Jamaica. We have lots of awards to hand out tonight, and of course, a fascinating entertainment package and a celebration party after. So thank you all for coming, and do enjoy the show. Thank you.
No, man, we can do better than that for the PAJ president. Let's hear it one more time for Milton Walker. So as usual, any awards of note must bear certain standards, and here to tell us about the standards of the entrance and awards is a past president of the PAJ and chief adjudicator, Mr. Byron Buckley, with the judge's report. Let's hear it from Mr. Buckley.
Good evening, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Judge's Report, PAJ National Journalism Awards 2022. There continues to be an increase in the number of entries submitted for the National Journalism Awards overall, especially in the major categories such as Journalist of the Year and the Hector Bernard Theodore Seeley Award for News Journalism and the Carl Winter Award for Feature Journalism. But as in previous years, we continue to be concerned about a reduction in the number of entries in the radio category, especially given the number of radio stations, as well as the number of entries in the Maurice Cargill Award for Opinion Journalism, the Carlton Alexander Award for Business and Finance Journalism, and the Hugh Crosskill Raymond Sharp Award for Sports. We'd like to remind journalists that most categories allow for entries of various formats. So vlogs, blogs, audio pieces, and so on may be entered where appropriate. At the same time, we are encouraged by the increase for the second year running in the number of entries for television documentaries, which suggests more media houses are experimenting with that format. This includes entrants from media houses outside the traditional free-to-air television stations. This is a step in the right direction. We are encouraging editors and journalists overall to ensure that only the best work is entered and that they adhere to the entry requirements. Sometimes we wonder if it is the best work that was sent in. For instance, the Journalist of the Year category requires that persons enter the absolute best body of work, not just a one good story and then some little ones fryers afterwards, but a body of work. Therefore, the work entered must rise to a certain level. Entries may be for work done that covers Jamaica and the Caribbean. So we want journalists to keep that in mind, as well as to encourage an even wider range of issues than we are seeing. As to the quality of the entries, that continues to vary. There are still too many stories which are single-sourced stories. I tend to pause when I get those entries. Single-source stories which demand greater balance. Judges in some categories have also highlighted the need for better use of data and facts, such as the Digicel Award for Technology. The judges of the UNICEF Media Award for Excellence in Reporting on Children's Rights have highlighted that they are impressed by the number and range of reports involving children and including the perspectives of children, of course, in line with the requirement to seek permission to interview underage subjects. At the same time, judges in some categories are encouraging persons to apply a greater level of creativity and originality to the treatment of some subject, such as agriculture and technology and feature stories. I don't know if you're aware, but one of the factors that we judge for is creativity and the originality of presenting the story. One judge observed that where feature stories are concerned, quote, journalists also need to resist the temptation to fall into fixed formulations for human interest stories. In almost all instances, the identical treatment was observed with few exceptional efforts to strive for originality. Overall, the judges want to remind journalists of the code of practice, which says that media organizations have an obligation to always reflect and represent the public interest and to perform their professional duties with intelligence, objectivity, fairness, and accuracy. All the entrants have done a decent job, but there is room, as always, for improvement. On behalf of the panel of judges, we extend congratulations to all the nominees and the eventual winners. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So now it's on with the 2022 PAJ Awards show, and the first segment features the general category awards, first of which is the Carl Wint Award for Human Interest Feature Stories, sponsored by Victoria Mutual. This award is presented in two categories, print and electronic.
A former editor at the Gleaner newspaper and one of the first inductees into the PAJ Hall of Fame, Carl Wint was a celebrated and a prolific writer. This was one of the categories with the most entries this year, with over 20 submissions. To present the Carl Wint Award for Human Interest Feature Stories, electronic category, please welcome from Victoria Mutual, Miss Denise Dennis, Assistant Manager, Group Corporate Affairs and Communications.
And so first up are the nominees in the electronic category.
Ricardo Brooks, Nationwide News Network.
And this is for his coverage of the abduction and search for two girls in the community of Bath, St. Thomas in October 2021.
Giovanni Dennis. And Jelani Campbell, Television Jamaica.
For the story of an 18-year-old teen returning home nearly 2 years after being beaten and stabbed close to death by 5 women at a party in St. Andrew.
Leven Rainford, Street Driven TV.
For the story of a Guys Hill High School student, Delano Tucker, who's excelling despite living in deplorable circumstances.
Camille Williams, RGR Gleaner Group.
And Camille took listeners on a trip from Bog Walk to Spanish Town, St. Catherine, via the school train service.
And the winner of the Carl Wint Award for Human Interest Feature Stories, electronic category is Leven Rainford, Street Driven TV.
Congratulations to Leven. You know, the judges said Leven's story about Delano Tucker was moving and inspiring with great camera work. They highlighted the first-person point of view and said having Delano narrate his own story was brilliant. The judges said they were engaged from beginning to end. Let's hear it one more time for Leven.
Now to the nominees in the print category. They are
Denise, I think you stay with us, if I'm not mistaken, yeah? Kimone Francis from the Gleaner Company Media Limited.
for her feature on Chief of Defense Staff Antoinette Williams. Sorry, that's for her feature on Chief of Defense Staff Antoinette Williams Gorman's early years in the Jamaica Defense Force from the point of view of her closest friends.
Brittany Hutchinson, the Jamaica Observer.
For her story, Painful, which highlighted 3 pregnant minors who were raped, preyed on, and engaged in sexual activity early, but decided not to abort their children.
Ramardo Lyons, the Jamaica Observer.
For his feature on Chevelle Peart, a Jamaican medical student caught up in the Russia-Ukraine conflict from the start of the bombing to the treacherous journey home.
Christopher Sergiu, the Gleaner Company Media Limited.
For his feature on the desperate measures one mother took to get her child home safely during the Russia-Ukraine conflict.
And the winner of the Carl Wint Award for Human Interest Feature Stories print category is Kimon Francis, the Gleaner Company Media Limited. And of course, once again, the award is being presented by Ms. Denise Dennis, Assistant Manager, Group Corporate Affairs and Communications at Victoria Mutual.
You know, the winning entry was entitled Woman Chief. The judges called it a well-written and interesting profile.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, and thank you, Ms. Dennis. Thanks to Victoria Mutual. Our next award is Best Radio Feature Documentary, sponsored by Carib Cement. And we welcome Mr. Chad Bryan, Carib Cement's Communication and Social Impact Coordinator, to present the award.
This award may include features or documentaries in news, sports, business, health, tourism, or any other subject matter of no less than 15 minutes in length. Work submitted in this category covered a variety of topics centered on youth.
Here are the nominees. Ricardo Brooks, Nationwide News Network.
For his entry, Abducted, 5 Days of Terror, covering the abduction of 2 girls in Bath, St. Thomas in October 2021.
Maisha Brody, Irie FM.
For her entry, Children's Cry, exploring the impact of violence on children, including the perspectives of children themselves.
Giovanni Dennis, Television Jamaica.
For his entry, Schools on the Siege, which explored the history, causes, and suggested solutions to violence in Jamaican schools.
And our winner is
Ricardo Brooks, Nationwide News Network.
Just about 40 minutes outside the St. Thomas capital of Morant Bay. It's a typical rural community in Jamaica, quiet, friendly, peaceful. Its famous botanical gardens and hot springs are legendary. It's believed that they have therapeutic powers of healing people. But that tranquility was shattered last Thursday when a child, Felicia Prussia, just 9 years old, was abducted from her home. Hours later, another child, Winshay Barrett, was also taken. 2 girls from one community, one taken after dark, the other seemed to simply vanish into bushes in broad daylight. What followed? 5 days of fear. In response, a rare show of unity and resolve to find the criminal. A community banding together, determined to protect itself from an intruder. Believed to be stalking their children, their machetes and clubs told the story of a steely, quiet resolve to get justice.
Ricardo, by the way, was the only journalist on the ground with the residents over 5 days as they searched frantically for the missing girls. A member of the panel of judges said, the piece was creatively written with excellent storytelling, clear language, and use of sound to tell a gripping story. Let's hear it once again for Ricardo. And thank you so much, Chad, for doing that presentation.
All right, we now move to the Best Television Feature or Documentary and invite on stage Mrs. Cloling Daly Mushet, Corporate Communications and PR Manager for Supreme Venture, to make the presentations. The nominees for this category are
Vashon Brown, Glenford Campbell, Jelani Campbell, Television Jamaica.
For their story, Raiding the Barn, a look at predial larceny in Jamaica.
Cliff Hughes, Joan Forrest Henry, Sonia Stewart, Travolta Alexander, Sean Winter, Frank Beckford, Torna Thomas, Nigel Austin, Gavin Patterson, Kim Marley Rowe, Nationwide News Network.
For Missing Without a Trace, a documentary exploring the disappearance in October 2015 of dancehall photographer Nikita Thomas, better known as Nick Photo Works.
Donald Oliver, Sportsmax TV.
For Carifta 49, The Story, which detailed the drama, suspense, triumph, and heartbreaks of the event.
Alzo Slade, Eric Weinreb, Andrea Davis, Bernardo Garcia El Guezabel, Andrew Campbell, Vice Media.
For the entry, Jamaica for Sale Part 2, which explored the fight to protect the cockpit country from mining.
Cliff Hughes, Joan Forrest Henry, Sonia Stewart, Travolta Alexander, Raymond Lindsay, Brittany Clark, Kadisha Clark, Nigel Austin, Marjorie Gordon, Frank Beckford, Gary Mitchell, Kimarley Rowe, Nationwide News Network.
For the entry, Invisible People in Plain Sight, a documentary exploring the plight of homeless people in Kingston and Montego Bay.
And our winner is, from Sportsmax TV, Donald Oliver.
The judges said Donald's entry, Carifta 49, The Story, was riveting, enthralling, and captivating, with excellent use of music, adding to the drama of the exciting videography and editing.
The Caribbean was coming. The cavalry from the east and the north all had something to prove, but some didn't know it yet. Jamaica has always been the one to lead the way as far as being the track and field force from these parts. But a new wave may signal otherwise, with the plan very much being to party in Jamaica's Kingston backyard. Legacies have just started. These are the young wonders of our time. The new era of track and field has already begun. And we were witnesses to it.
Up next is the Ken Dawson Award for Videography, which will once again be presented by Mrs. Cloling Daly Mushet, Corporate Communications and PR Manager for Supreme Ventures.
Of course, this award was named for a man who practiced his craft at the highest level for some 22 years at the Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation before operating privately after retirement. Sadly, the veteran videographer Ken Dawson passed away last November in Miami, Florida.
Gone but never forgotten. The 2022 nominees for the Ken Dawson Award for Videography are
Nigel Austin and Sean Winter, Nationwide News Network.
Never Had to Die, the Jodie Ann Ferron story, told through the eyes of her mother, sister, and friends, and including never, ever before seen footage.
Romardo Lyons, the Jamaica Observer.
Ramardo's entry, entitled Dust Nuisance, explores the plight of St. Thomas residents affected by the Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project.
Levon Rainford, Street-Driven TV.
For the story of Delano Tucker, a Guys Hill High School student surmounting the odds to excel.
Glenford Campbell, Television Jamaica.
For the entry, Raiding the Barn, a look at predial larceny in Jamaica.
And the winner of the Ken Dawson Award for Videography is Levon Rainford, Street-Driven TV.
The judges said the camera work helped to make the piece insightful and captivating to watch.
Every day at school, hopes the rain fall because if rain fall, man now wait to cook. Because it's an outdoor kitchen and they make out of wood and bamboo and a dirt floor. So as soon as the rain start fall, all in there wet up. And because of dirt floor, you get mucky and slippery, and enough time mother almost drop in there. And she have a bad foot, so if she drop, you know, good fear. See that as soon as the place black up, mother run go cook. No matter how early it be. If I have 12 o'clock, she run go cook. So because of that, sometimes go to bed without dinner. Because rain falls, so she couldn't get to cook. So if that happen, and she have sweetie, she give her sweetie and say, suck on this till tomorrow. If that not happen, and she have a little sugar, she will give you and make sugar and water and go out to bed.
And we want to say thanks again to Mrs. Daly Mushet.
Our next general award is the Junior Dowie Award for Sports Photography, and that's sponsored by Jamaica National. So let's welcome on stage to present that award Miss Carleen Edwards, Head of Promotions and Sponsorship for JN Group.
Junior Dowie's work dominated the pages of the Gleaner newspaper for many years, and in 1993, he was recognized for the Order of Distinction for photojournalism.
So this year, the nominees for the Junior Dowie Award for Sports Photography are Naptali Jr., the Jamaica Observer.
For his entry, World Cup Again, depicting the celebrations of Jamaica's reggae girls becoming the first Caribbean team, women or men, to qualify for back-to-back World Cups.
Marlon Reed, Loop News Jamaica.
For his entry, Sharika Wins, depicting Jamaica's Sharika Jackson celebrating in full flight after 200-meter gold at the World Champs in Eugene, Oregon.
Garfield Robinson, the Jamaica Observer.
For his entry, Gotcha, depicting a student cricket player bowled in the final of a cricket match.
Gladstone Taylor, the Gleaner Company Media Limited.
For his entry, Mummy Rocket Strikes Again, which depicts Shelley and Fraser Price, who successfully defended her 100-meter World Championship title in Eugene, Oregon.
And the winner of the Jamaica National Sponsored Junior Dowie Award for Sports Photography is Gladstone Taylor, the Gleaner.
Next up is the Aston Roden Award for News Photography, sponsored by Red Stripe.
Aston Roden was revered for his professionalism and dedication. In the late 1950s and 1960s, his work was the standard by which many newspaper photographers were judged. To present this award is Ms. Stacey Ann Smith, Red Stripe's brand and corporate PR manager.
The entrants shortlisted for the 2022 Aston Roden Award for News Photography are
Ashley Angwin, the Gleaner Company Media Limited.
For her entry, Woman with Baby at Pathways Ministries, covering the Pathway Ministries International Incident.
Rudolph Brown, the Gleaner Company Media Limited.
For his entry, Anti-Vaxxer, Protest Part 3, depicting the police arrest of an anti-vaxxer during a local protest.
Naphtali Jr., the Jamaica Observer.
For his entry, Miss You, which depicts a man touching a photograph showing a child who was killed.
Joseph Wellington, the Jamaica Observer.
For his entry, Trench Rock, which depicts the visit of Prince William and his wife Kate to Trenchtown. Let's now congratulate and call to the stage the winner of the 2022 Aston Roden Award for News Photography, Rudolph Brown, the Gleaner Company Media Limited.
One of his colleagues collecting on his behalf. Thank you very much, Stacey Ann Smith, for doing that presentation. And now we welcome Mrs. Nicole Campbell-Robinson, NCB's Assistant Vice President, Group Marketing and Communications, as she will present the next award.
Errol Harvey served the Jamaica Information Service for just under 30 years before retiring as chief photographer in 1994. But his work has been featured in many outstanding publications over the years, including the National Library of Jamaica's Picture This, the National Online Album of Jamaica. Now here are the 2022 shortlisted nominees for the Errol Harvey Award for Human Interest Photography.
Ashley Angwin, the Gleaner Company Media Limited.
For the photo, Dennis Williams and cerebral palsy, depicting single father Dennis Williams sharing a moment with his son, Devontae, who has cerebral palsy.
Kenyon Hammonds, the Gleaner Company Media Limited.
For his entry, Young Track Star, depicting 7-year-old Johan Blake, a grade 1 student at Bellas Gate Primary School, running barefoot with a bucket containing clothes as he tries to get home before the rains get heavier.
Nicholas Nunez, the Gleaner Company Media Limited.
For his entry, Rainy Day in Halfway Tree, depicting a commuter seeking shelter during downpour.
Joseph Wellington, the Jamaica Observer.
For his entry, excited children of Trenchtown greet football star Raheem Sterling.
And the winner of the Errol Harvey Award for Human Interest Photography is, from the Gleaner Company, Ashley Angwin.
Congratulations, Ashley. Of course, Nicole will remain on stage to present our next NCB-sponsored award, to the Maurice Cargill Award for Opinion Journalism.
Attorney at law, businessman, planter, journalist, and novelist. Sometimes I think he's a comedian. Maurice Cargill's columns for 5 decades served as a catapult for much discussion, private and public, in Jamaica, as they appeared in the Gleaner newspapers between 1953 until his death in 2000.
The nominees for the Maurice Cargill Award for Opinion Journalism are...
From Love FM, Daniel Blake.
For the Denilogue, pieces addressing sporting issues of impact to the average citizens and sports fans. Ricardo Brooks, Nationwide News Network.
For a series of opinion pieces covering vaccines, broken campaign promises, and international campaigns.
David Salmon, The Gleaner Company Media Limited.
For a series of pieces covering whether work and travel programs exploit people, the failure of youth programs, and the gospel of sufferation.
Lloyd B. Smith, The Jamaica Observer.
For Point Counterpoint, a series covering topical current affairs issues.
Now, put your hands together and congratulate the winner of the Maurice Cargill Award for Opinion Journalism 2022, Ricardo Brooks, Nationwide News Network. He will be presented with his award by NCB's AVP Marketing and Communications, Nicole Robinson Campbell.
You know, I didn't know Ricardo.
It occurred to me that, you know, democracy is often held up as a superior form of government, yeah? And it's born of an idea that each of us exercising our agency elects a government to act in the best interest of the society as a whole. Of course, over time, that basic principle, it's come into conflict with the reality that those who have capital, privilege, and power are often able to amplify their individual voices over those of the masses. On the weekend, the executive chairman of Sandals International, as you heard in the 6 o'clock bulletin, Adam Stewart, made a series of tweets which I found bewildering at best. In one particular tweet, he appeared to be responding to the health minister, Dr. Christopher Tufton, who has suggested that in the near future, government will be finally rolling out its preferential treatment model for vaccinated citizens. Because I keep asking myself, what is it about Jamaica's candidature for Commonwealth Secretary General that inspires such disquiet among some of us? What exactly about it upsets people so much? And for the second time in this campaign, I feel compelled not to necessarily defend the candidate, but I think to defend my country's right to stand up and be counted, and more importantly, to lead in the halls of international fora. Because Jamaica is no less deserving than any other country in this region, indeed in the Commonwealth, to hold that post. And from the moment the bid was announced, there were those who have tried to raise all kinds of objections, bent on discrediting the country's chances at holding the post.
You know, the judges said the subjects were well chosen and particularly interesting, given that they would not make typical conversation pieces. Let's hear it one more time for Ricardo.
So again, we say thank you, Nicole, and congratulations, Ricardo. Time now for the Flow-sponsored Best Breaking News Coverage category. This category recognizes exceptional cross-platform coverage of a breaking news item. We invite Flow's Director, Regulatory Affairs, Mr. Charles Douglas, on stage to present the award.
The shortlisted nominees for the Best Breaking News category are
Ricardo Brooks, Nationwide News Network.
for his coverage of a controversial contract between Clarendon Alumina Partners and a company known as CCA Capital Partners.
Rochelle Clayton, the Jamaica Observer.
For coverage of the Pathways International Church Cult Saga.
Romardo Lyons, the Jamaica Observer.
For coverage of the abduction of 9-year-old Felisa Prusia.
Janet Silvera, the Gleaner Company Media Limited.
For coverage of the Pathways International Church Cult Saga.
Clinton McGregor, Giovanni Dennis, Dion Jackson Miller, Milton Walker, Shernette Johnson, and Janella Perseus, RGR Gleaner Group.
For coverage of the DPP ruling in relation to Nzinga King, the dreadlocked woman whose locks were allegedly cut by a policewoman in a Clarendon lockup.
Well, who is the winner of the Best Breaking News category? Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Janet Silvera, the Gleaner Company Media Limited.
You know, so the judges said the entry represented excellent multimedia coverage with insightful follow-ups, first-hand accounts relayed in quick succession, well-articulated angles, and individual perspectives. Wow.
It's the story that has been dominating local headlines. A bloody end to a bizarre night of religious rituals on Norwood Avenue in Montego Bay, St. James. Dr. Kevin O. Smith, the leader of the Pathways International Kingdom Restoration Ministries, had summoned his flock for an all-white affair.
It is only for those who have pure blood, who have not taken the mark.
There was a situation where a religious group, or what we describe as a cult, called in members from all over the island to gather at this location. During the whole process, some persons were stabbed by other members of the group. Persons went to hospital. Police was called in. When the police came, the police was greeted with gunfire from the leader of the congregation.
Once again, we thank Flow for its sponsorship. The penultimate award in the general category, is for excellence in reporting on the environment. And this is sponsored by the National Housing Trust. To present this, we invite on stage the NHT's Corporate Communication and Public Affairs Manager, Tamika Hill.
The shortlisted nominees for the Award for Excellence in Reporting on the Environment are Donnell Christian, Ian Guthrie, Daniel Gordon, Tamika Parchment, Public Health Media Limited.
For their entry examining the impact of water pollution on the Caribbean Jamaica environment, including the marine ecosystem and public health.
Giovanni Dennis, Ivan Shaw, and Houghton West from Television Jamaica.
For their entry, Development Disorder, which explored inadequately regulated developments across Kingston and St. Andrew.
Jerome Foster, Television Jamaica.
For his work examining the impact of climate change on sports.
Romardo Lyons, The Jamaica Observer.
For his work, which explored farming in several Caribbean countries and its effect on the environment.
Janet Silvera, the Gleaner Company Media Limited.
For the story of the Jamaica Inns Kyle Who, among other initiatives, paddleboards to work to reduce his carbon footprint.
The PAJ's 2022 award for excellence in reporting on the environment goes to Giovanni Dennis, Ivan Shaw, and Houghton West of Television Jamaica. And of course, Giovanni is receiving his award from the National Housing Trust's Corporate Communication and Public Affairs Manager, Tamika Hill.
Here you have one single family, there you have a high rise. There you have a single family, there you have a high rise.
Margaret Jarrett is also an architect and urban planner.
You can no longer feel comfortable sitting in your backyard, you know, having a drink, reading your newspaper without neighbors suddenly looking down on you. So you've lost your privacy.
They confirm the concerns expressed by the Charlemont residents aren't unique.
We're all facing the same problem.
Courtney Cephas represents a coalition of 20 presidents of neighborhood associations across Kingston and St. Andrew. They've joined forces against what they see as a proliferation of inadequately regulated developments. They have 4 broad areas of concern. 1. Breaches of laws and regulations. 2. Non-responsiveness of state agencies. 3. Monitoring and enforcement. 4. Impact on the environment and infrastructure.
The judges said it was an excellent piece with strong impact and follow-up actions.
Congratulations once again, Giovanni, Ivan, and Houghton, and thank you, NHT. Well, that brings us to the end of the first segment, the General Awards. Can I get a round of applause to all the nominees and, of course, our winners? And now that gives us an opportunity to be entertained by a rising star.
The winner of the Rising Star competition for 2022.
Yes.
Moseen.
All right, let's welcome him on stage.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone.
Let's have conversations in the dark. For sleep and I'm awake with you. With you. Oh, watch movies that we've both already seen. And I ain't even looking at the screen. It's true. I've got my eyes on you. And you say that you're not worth it. You get hung up on your flaws. But in my eyes, you are perfect as you are. And I will never try to change you. Change you. I will always want the same. Same you. Swear on everything I pray to that I won't break your heart. I'll be there when you get lonely. Lonely. Keep the secrets that you told me. And your love is all you owe me. And I won't break your heart. Sunday mornings we sleeping too long. Girl, I could sleep forever next to you. places we both gotta be. But there ain't nothing I would rather do than blow for my plans for you. And you say that you're not worth it. You get hung up on your flaws, but in my eyes you are perfect, perfect as you are. Yeah. I will never try to change you, change you. I will always want the same, same. Swear on everything I pray to that I won't break your heart. I'll be there when you get lonely, lonely. Keep the secrets that you told me, and you love me, oh you own me, and I won't break your heart. And no one seems to notice, and the days they seem so hard. My darling, you should know this. My love is everywhere you your heart. I will never try to change you, change you. I will always want to save you, save you. Swear on everything I pray to, and I won't break your heart. I'll be there when you get lonely, lonely. Keep the secrets that you told me. I'm keeping your secrets, and your love is all you own, yeah. And I won't break your heart. I won't break your heart, baby. And I won't break your heart.
Sorry, good evening, everyone. Come on, man, I can't hear you. Good evening, everyone. How are you doing? Oh, you don't sound like we're good. How are we doing? All right. So, what's your name, madam? Say it again. Tiffany.
It's been such a long, long time. Hey, looks like I get you off of my mind, but I can't. Just a thought of you. Just a thought. Ooh, turns my whole world to misty blue. Misty blue. Oh, just the mention of your name turns a flicker to flame. I should forget you. Heaven knows I've tried. Tiffany, baby, when I said that I'm glad we're through, ooh, and deep in my heart, I should forget you. My whole world turned misty blue.
So, we're gonna dance now. We're gonna dance, right? Can you guys dance? Oh, no dance, not there. No dancer is here? Where is she?
I'm so in love with you. So in love with you. Wherever you.
Come on, man, louder, louder, louder.
Me feel so brand new. And I'll spend my life with you. Since we've been together, loving you is what I need. Let me be the one you come running to, and I'll never be untrue. It is just a number. Hey, baby, let's stay together. Boy, loving you, whether, if you know this part, sing it. Good or bad, happy or sad. Let's stay together, baby. I'm loving you, whether times are good or bad, happy or sad. Let's stay together. I'm loving you, whether, baby, whether times are good or bad, or happy or sad.
Thank you.
I was enjoying that so much. I could have listened to him one more time. Yeah? No bother with it. No encore tonight.
Not tonight. Well, welcome back, and what a star he is indeed. Thank you again, Mosine. We now move to the second segment of the 2022 PAJ Awards. It's now time for the special awards. This category is opened to individual or team entries.
So we kick things off with the UNICEF Media Award for Excellence in Reporting on Children's Rights. And here to present the UNICEF-sponsored award is Mrs. Donna Marie Rowe, Communications Specialist, UNICEF Jamaica.
And here are the nominees. Maisha Brody, REFM.
For her entry, Children's Cry, in which children explain how crime and violence continue to affect their lives.
Giovanni Dennis, Youton West, Television Jamaica.
For their entry, Children of COVID, looking at the impact of COVID-19 on primary school children.
Romardo Lyons, The Jamaica Observer.
For his entry, Children on Crime, in which children between the ages of 6 and 12 speak out against crime.
Janella Perseus, Glenford Campbell, Youton West, Television Jamaica.
For their entry entitled In Their Words, in which children explain how they're affected by the economy.
Andre Williams, The Gleaner Company Media Limited.
For their work examining mental health in children during the COVID-19 pandemic.
And the winner of the 2022 UNICEF Media Award for Excellence in Reporting on Children's Rights is Maisha Brody, REFM.
2005, the bodies of 3 children aged 4, 13, and 15 were found at their home in the quiet community of Kiloncolly in St. Mary. They were stabbed to death. Their names were Shadice Williams, Dwayne Davidson, and Suan Gordon. In 2008, an 11-year-old girl was abducted, raped, and killed in St. Andrew. Her name was Ananda Dean. On June 21, 2022, 4 children aged 23 months, 5, 12, and 15, and their mother were found dead at their home in Cocopies, Clarendon. Their throats were slashed. Their names were Kishon Henry, Raffaella Smith, Sharalee Smith, and Kimanda Smith. These children were robbed of their lives early, and they are only a small percentage of the number of children who die as a result of crime and violence in Jamaica each year.
The judges said the insightful, well-written series captured the plight of children.
Our next award is sponsored by Sagicor Life Jamaica. Let's welcome on stage Stacey Gooden, Wellness and Client Services, to present the award.
Give her a round of applause. The journalists nominated in the health and wellness category are Donald Christian, Ian Guthrie, Daniel Gordon, Tamika Parchment from Public Health Media Limited.
For a feature examining COVID-19, mental health at home and at the workplace.
Giovanni Dennis, Ivan Shaw, Giovanni Heslop, Richard Brown, Television Jamaica.
For their story exploring front of package labeling and the reversal of Jamaica's position supporting a model that would make it easier for consumers to interpret food labels.
Kimone Francis, The Gleaner Company Media Limited.
For their entry looking at the operations of the Victoria Jubilee Hospital.
Joe Van Johnson, The Gleaner Company Media Limited.
For his story, exposing loopholes in vetting of medical practitioners.
Cliff Hughes, Joan Forrest Henry, Sonia Stewart, Travolta Alexander, Marjorie Gordon, Tonya Thomas, Brittany Clark, Nigel Austin, Sean Winter, Frank Beckford, Dorian Clark, Ramon Lindsay, Chadwick Walker, Mark Armstrong, William Mitchell, Ramon Gordon, Jonathan Atkins, and Kimarley Rowe, Nationwide News Network.
For Never Had to Die, the Jodian Farron story, a pregnant woman who died in a hospital.
And the winner of the 2022 Award for Excellence in Reporting on Health and Wellness is the team from Nationwide News Network. So let's hear it for Cliff Hughes, Joan Forrest Henry, Sonia Stewart, Travolta Alexander, Marjorie Gordon, Tona Thomas, Brittany Clark, Nigel Austin, Sean Winter, Frank Beckford, Dorian Clark, Ramon Lindsay, Chadwick Walker, Mark Armstrong, William Mitchell, Ramon Gordon, Jonathan Atkins, and Kimarley Rowe.
In 2019, Jodianne graduated from the University of the West Indies with honors in marketing. During her pregnancy that year, Jodianne made plans to join her mom in New York, where she would pursue her master's.
I wanted to get to that place where we say, yes, we made it, but it never happened.
Instead, Jodianne's life would take a dramatic and tragic turn. This against the backdrop of an emerging global event.
Today, the WHO Director General announced COVID-19 as a pandemic.
The situation is still worsening
and we need to stand together to tackle it.
Hi, Jamaica. There's a confirmed imported case of coronavirus on the island. This is cause for concern.
Ms. Farron was a recent graduate of the University of the West Indies.
Grief crippled the family and friends of Jodianne. Jamaica was beginning to learn how the life of a promising young woman was lost in such disturbing circumstances in the public health system.
As a result, Dr. Goldman says he decided on...
The judges said it was a superior example of how to make a feature story. They described the entry as gripping, well-sourced, dramatic, and impactful.
The next category is excellence in reporting on agriculture. The Jamaica Broilers Group sponsors this award, and so we invite Ms. Anna K. Green, Public Relations Officer, Jamaica Broilers Group Limited, to join us on stage to make the first presentation of 3 major awards sponsored this evening. Thank you, Jamaica Broilers, for your consistent support over the years. Can I hear it one more time for Jamaica Broilers, please? Thank you.
Here are the nominees for excellence in reporting on agriculture. Vashon Brown, Glenford Campbell, Jelani Campbell, Television Jamaica.
For Raiding the Barn, a look at predial larceny in Jamaica.
Kimone Francis, The Gleaner Company Media Limited.
For her story exploring challenges in the global supply chain and country bans on certain exports.
Romardo Lyons, The Jamaica Observer.
For his work focusing on farming in several Caribbean countries and its effect on the environment.
Jamela Maitland, RGR Gleaner Group.
For his story detailing the challenges former sugarcane workers had securing land leases from the sugar company holdings of Jamaica.
Christopher Sergiu, The Gleaner Company Media Limited.
For his story about billions of tax dollars being pocketed by special interests in the sugar industry.
The award for excellence in reporting on agriculture from this competitive field goes to Vashon Brown, Glenford Campbell, Jelani Campbell, Television Jamaica.
I've never seen him run so fast.
Welcome to Raiding the Barn, a look at predial larceny in Jamaica.
Nobody want to plant the corn. Everybody want to raid the barn.
The face of 54-year-old Vivian Johnson. He went to check on his animals in May this year when he saw 2 men allegedly trying to steal them. He was attacked and later shot several times. Commanding officer for the St. Thomas Division, Superintendent Alison Byfield, says the police were alerted.
The police responded and they proceeded to the scene where they saw the man lying on the roadway, appears lifeless. There were several spent casings and he was bleeding from the head.
The police say they're still investigating, but as the probe continues, his family members are hurting. The Agriculture Ministry says it will continue to launch community watch groups for farmers, but as the farmers wait, advice for some of their colleagues who may want to leave farming.
I would tell them don't let that stop them, because farming is good. So, because a person, and trust me, even if they stole from you, once the crop bear and it's there, the land is there for that level amount of crop, you can make it.
I was happy when I heard that I was nominated for the PAJ Awards. I'm thankful that the judges acknowledged that the work that I did in the last year was worthy of recognition. It was hard doing a documentary in the midst of a pandemic, but I'm grateful to the many brave farmers who told me their stories. Now, television is also about teamwork, and so special big up to Glenford Campbell and Jelani Campbell, and also to one of my mentors, Dion Jacks Miller. Once again, I'm grateful for the recognition and thank you very much.
Congratulations once again. The judges said it was excellent work, thorough, informative, and innovative with an attention-grabbing start.
Thank you, Ms. Green, and congratulations, Team Television Jamaica. Up next is the Digital Award for Excellence in Reporting on Technology. And Elon Parkinson, Digicel's Head of Communications and Corporate Affairs, joins us on stage to present that award.
The nominees are Kimone Francis, the Gleaner Company Media Limited.
For her entry highlighting significant vulnerabilities in Jamaica's cyber infrastructure.
Romardo Lyons, the Jamaica Observer.
For his story highlighting the consequences of poor cell phone reception in rural communities.
Anthony Morgan, the Jamaica Information Service.
For his probe of the loader scam made popular through social media apps, TikTok and Facebook.
Andre Williams, the Gleaner Company Media Limited.
For his look at the e-commerce national delivery system, ENDS.
Kalisha Williams, Uton West, Milton Reed, Television Jamaica.
For their piece examining the prevalence of online scams in the island since the COVID-19 pandemic.
And the winner of the 2022 Digicel Award for Excellence in Reporting on Technology is Kalisha Williams, Uton West, and Milton Reed, Television Jamaica.
The judges said it was a well thought out, well produced, and well executed exploration of a series of voluntary evolving threats to Jamaicans and people across the world. Congratulations to our winners, and thank you to Digicel and Elon.
3 women, 3 different parishes, united by a WhatsApp group, all victims of an online scam. Victim 1, we will call her Pamela.
I went on Instagram and I saw some bags because I was thinking about selling some school bags for, for September last year.
The bags were advertised by a Jamaican small business owner who buys and sells foreign goods online. Unemployed and desperate to set up her own small business, Pamela placed an order.
I didn't have the money at the time, so, NCB sent me the notification that I could borrow $100,000 from online banking. So I borrowed it and I sent her the money.
She paid $39,500 to the business owner. Weeks later, she didn't receive the order.
She said the reason, when she contacted the manufacturers, they told her that the bags, one set was 4 days out, one set was 9 days out.
But the days turned into weeks and weeks turned into months. Still, no items, no refund.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the special awards segment of the 2022 awards. Are you ready for some more entertainment? No, man, I want to know if you're ready, because coming up next is Jamaica's Songbird. You got to get ready to stand on your feet, to sing along, to move your body, because on stage, a very special lady, the one, the only, Jem Myers.
Everybody were together as we walk on by, and we thought just like birds off the feather. I won't tell no lies, no. All of the people around us listen, and baby we're close. Just let me stay for the record. We're bringing love in a family love. We are family. And all my sisters and my brothers with me. We are family. Let up everybody sing. Oh, we are family. And my sisters with me. Everybody. We are family. Hey, hey, hey. Let up everybody sing. We know living life is fun and we just begun to get a share of this world's delight. I hope sweetheart for the future and our goals in sight. You know that we know we don't get to press. These are take calm. Our golden rule. Somebody have faith in you and if this is true, you won't go wrong. Oh no, this is a family to get up, get up. And all my sisters and my brothers with me. We are family. Oh, 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 oh. Get up, everybody. Singing, singing. Have faith in you and if this is true. Hey, hey. Oh, hey, hey. Get up, y'all. Get up and sing. Get up and sing it for me. Oh, we are together and the birds on the feather. Oh, hey, hey. Oh, hey, hey. Get up and sing it with me. Hey, 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 hey. Oh, hey, hey, hey.
Thank you very much. Good evening. You having a good time so far? Give it up for Miss Zane earlier. He was so good. I love to hear him sing. And I love singing, and I hope that it shows, ladies and gentlemen. And it is simply because I understand it is not of me, but because God has blessed me. Let go, God bless so much on inside that. When I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. Congratulations to the winners. And here's a couple of songs from my favorite people. She's gone, but what great music she's left us. Lord, it's been some time. Have something on your mind. See, I haven't been this way since that cold November day. They said they needed space. Well, all I found was an empty place. The only thing I've learned is that I need you desperately. So here I am. And can you please tell me, oh, where two broken hearts go? Can they find their way home? Back to the open arms of a love that's waiting there. If somebody else who always love you, I look in your eyes and I know that you see care for me. Now that I am here with you, I'll never let you go. I look into your eyes and now I know. Didn't we always the day that you left me, you said you'd have no regrets. There's a bond between us that hasn't been broken yet, and the feeling between us will never disappear. How can you be far away when your spirit's here? You're still my man, and nothing can change it. You're still, we are together. Oh, you're still my man, and nothing can change it. Oh, baby, oh, darling, you're in my heart forever. You're still my and without you, there'll be no love at all at once. Find it took a moment, and I'm realizing that you're not coming back, and it finally hit me all at once, all at once. I looked around and found that you were with another love in someone else's arms, and all my dreams were shattered all at once. Ever since I met you, you're the only love I know, and I can't forget you, but I must face it all alone. All at once, I'm drifting on alone to sea, wishing you'd come back to me, and we're all that matters now. All at once, I'm drifting on alone to sea, holding on to memories, and it hurts me more than you know, so much more than it shows. All at once. Can we have a round of applause for the band on this side? Come on. Hey, hey, you're all that matters now. Oh, all at once, I'm drifting on alone to sea, wishing you'd come back to me, and it hurts me more than you know, so much more than it shows. All at If you hear your favorite song, you can clap and make some noise, you know. Let's have a good time with the music, man. I don't really need to love very much further. I don't want to have to go where you don't fall. I will hold it back again. This passion inside can work on myself. There's nowhere to hide. Your love I remember forever. But don't make me close one more. I don't wanna hurt anymore. Stay in my arms if you're there. But must I imagine you there? Still walk away from me. I have nothing, nothing, nothing. No. Close one more door. I don't wanna hurt anymore. Stay my own to do that. Must I imagine you there? Just don't walk away from me, baby. Oh, don't walk away from me. No, don't you dare walk away from me. No, 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 no. I had nothing, nothing, nothing. If I don't have you, don't have you. If I don't have you, don't Thank you so much. Good evening.
You know, I like to say the hallmark of a great singer is when you listen and you think you can sing. Because for a minute, when Jem stopped, I heard some, I don't know what to call it. I want to say notes, but I might be very wrong. Journalists are here. I have to be very credible. But isn't she absolutely amazing? Let's hear it one more time for Jem Myers. Wow.
She is indeed a great Jamaican treasure.
Yes.
And also let's give it up for the great Fab Five Band.
All right, so after that burst of energy, it's time for the 2022 Prestige Awards. First up is the Carlton Alexander Award for Business and Finance Journalism, Print and Electronic, sponsored by Grace Kennedy Limited. And so we invite Grace Kennedy's Corporate Communications Manager, Kareen Brown, to do the presentation.
Carlton Alexander was known for his leading role in the field of commerce, industry, and export, having served as president of several organizations, including the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, and Kingston Wharves.
This year's shortlist for the Carlton Alexander Award for Business and Finance are
Kimone Francis, the Gleaner Company Media Limited.
for work which looked at arguments and counter-arguments related to the vexed issue of banking fees.
Brittany Hutchinson, the Jamaica Observer.
For covering issues such as the working conditions at call centers and the local labor market and foreign businesses.
Romardo Lyons, the Jamaica Observer.
For covering stories such as the increasing use of private investigators as well as pest control issues following the closure of schools because of COVID-19.
Anthony Morgan, the Jamaica Information Service.
For highlighting certain bank-related issues and their impact on consumers and the overall economy.
Andre Williams, the Gleaner Company Media Limited.
Who, among other news writers, examined the impact of the Ukraine-Russia military conflict on gas prices, as well as the importance of the diaspora to economic survival.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the winner of the 2022 Carlton Alexander Award for Business and Finance, Kimone Francis, the Gleaner Company Media Limited.
While she makes her way, the judges said Kimone's work was incisive, insightful, and informative, and shared a common thread: human impact.
next prestige award is the Hugh Crossgill Raymond Sharp Award for Sports Journalism, Print and Electronic, sponsored by J. Ray and Nephew Limited. Joining us to present this award is Miss Samara South, Public Affairs and Government Relations Specialist at J. Ray and Nephew Limited.
The late Hugh Crossgill is regarded as one of the Caribbean's foremost and rounded journalists, covering both news and sport. His was a long career spanning some 30 years, beginning at the then Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation before moving on to the Barbados-based Caribbean News Agency, CANA, from there to head the BBC World Service, and then returning to Jamaica as General Manager of Radio Jamaica Limited.
Another outstanding journalist, for whom the trophy is also named, is the late Raymond Sharp, whose outstanding body of work ranged from covering stage shows to political rallies. But it was in the field of sports that he was most noted for journalism. Cricket, football, golf, chess. Raymond covered it all with flourish and panache.
Here are the journalists who made the judges' shortlist for the 2022 Hugh Crossgill Raymond Sharp Award for Sports Journalism in the electronic category.
Jerome Foster, Television Jamaica.
Jerome is nominated for covering the impact of climate change on sports, the lack of venues for persons with disabilities, and the impact of COVID traces on junior and elite athletes.
Karen Madden, RGR Gleaner Group.
For covering issues such as women in coaching, safe sports, and tourism.
Donald Oliver, Sportsmax TV.
For the story of Javon Blake, a sports and academic wonder.
Copping the 2022 award for Hugh Crossgill Raymond Sharp Award for Sports Journalism electronic category is Jerome Foster, Television Jamaica.
And the judges described Jerome's work as informative, eye-opening, timely, and well-researched.
Now, climate change has been on the front burner in recent times, and there have been talks about what it will mean for all sectors of society. But not much has been said about sports and the bearing it will have on athletes. In part one of this two-part story, Jerome Foster looks at the concerns of stakeholders and how it will affect the sporting landscape.
In November 2021, Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley was seen as a starring act at the United Nations Climate Change Conference, as she called on world leaders to do more in the fight against climate change.
This evening, we examine the possible medical and economical challenges which are imminent from climate change.
In 2018, England cricket captain Joe Root was taken to hospital during an Ashes test after suffering a heat stroke on a day when temperatures rose to 57 degrees Celsius. Since then, cricket matches in Australia have been cancelled due to extreme temperatures, while elsewhere, tennis matches have seen the likes of Novak Djokovic and Nick Kyrgios retire from matches due to extreme heat.
The Disabilities Act came into effect on February 14 this year, and in this report we examined what it means for sporting venues on the island going forward, as well as the current conditions for the disabled community at these venues.
On any given weekend, there is a rumble in the jungle, the popular name used to refer to Arnett Gardens, as a number of Jamaica Premier League matches are played at the Anthony Spalding Sports Complex in that community. But it may be difficult for members of the disabled community to be a part of that excitement. A walk through the venue reveals signage for able-bodied patrons, but none for those with disabilities. It could be seen as a tedious step to get a preferred seat there or even at the Stadium East complex, but a law that was passed in 2014 to give more accessibility to the disabled came into effect in February, and facility managers have been put on notice.
All right, please stay with us, Samara, as we prepare to present the J. Ray and Nephew sponsored 2022 Hugh Crossgill Raymond Sharp Award for Sports Journalism Print category. Here are the journalists who made the judges' shortlist.
Robert Bailey, the Gleaner Company Media Limited.
For covering the Costa Rica COVID-19 deception and the Calabar High School gunshot victim who made a champs semifinal.
Sheridan Cowan, the Jamaica Observer.
For profiles of several athletes, including bobsledder Jasmine Fallator, Victorian and driver Johan Knight, Wisdom.
Simone Morgan Lindo, The Star.
For her interviews with loved ones of world champs entrants.
Nelson Christian Stokes, The Jamaica Observer.
For his Beijing Winter Olympic Series.
Andre Williams, The Gleaner Company Media Limited.
For several inspiring stories, including that of Jamaica Kofi Cockburn, who rose from a volatile Garrison community and earned a contract in the National Basketball Association, NBA. He has inspired many youth in the community.
And the winner of the 2022 Hugh Crossgill Raymond Sharp Award for Sports Journalism in the print category is Sheridan Cowan, the Jamaica Observer.
The judges said Sheridan presented inspirational stories of less popular and recognized sports, while bringing awareness and giving the feels. Also, provided information on these lesser-known sports and presented a nice teaching moment each time. Thank you, Samara, for making the presentation.
So we're fast approaching the finish line with the presentation of yet another prestige award, the Hector Bernard Theodore Seeley Award for News in both the print and electronic categories, which is open to individuals and teams.
This award is sponsored by the Jamaica Public Service, JPS, and we invite Ms. Winsome Collum, Director, Corporate Communications, to present the JPS-sponsored award.
Hector Bernard began his career writing for a few smaller newspapers before finding his niche at the Daily Gleaner. He was the first reporter in Jamaica to focus on farming as his beat, writing in the Farmers Weekly, a supplement to the Saturday Gleaner. He also spent several years at JBC, where he's credited with establishing the newsroom and introducing several groundbreaking programs, such as The Public Eye, Firing Line, Forum, and News Commentaries. Theodore Seeley is credited with having made the Gleaner newspaper. He dedicated his working life to the Grand Lady of North Street, rising through the ranks to become editor in the 50s and later editor-in-chief in the 60s. Many well-known names in journalism, who themselves are celebrated veterans, would whisper his name in reverence as they reflect on the influence he had on their careers or on the profession in general.
Here's the short list for the Hector Bernard Theodore Seeley Award for News Electronic. They are Fashion Brown, Television Jamaica,
for a documentary addressing predial larceny, as well as stories focused on climate change and housing development.
Giovanni Dennis, Television Jamaica.
For development disorder, a series of stories exploring inadequately regulated developments across the capital, Kingston.
Leven Rainford, Street Driven TV.
For his profile into the lives of Jamaicans excelling despite serious challenges, including basic housing.
Kelisha Williams, Television Jamaica.
For stories about the challenges faced by craft traders in the island, the implications of a beachfront property sale, and congestion along Brayton Parkway in Portmore, St. Catherine.
Latanya Janelle Hall, Kenyon Hemans, Andre Williams, The Gleaner Company Media Limited.
For their coverage of the Pathways International Kingdom Restoration Ministries Church cult matter, as well as the brutal killing of a mother and her 4 children.
The winner of the Hector Bernard Theodore Seeley Award for News electronic category is Giovanni Dennis, Television Jamaica.
Of Giovanni's work, the judges said the entire series exemplifies great journalism, in-depth reporting that was concise and captivating.
And
the process started October 5, 2019, when Shanice signed this contract. The IWTS representative was Wayne Harrison. Page 2 of the 7-page contract states that Shanice would have to pay 1. Non-refundable agency and registration fees of $9,000. 2. $56,000 for an administration fee. And 3. A program fee of $224,000. Painful to watch. Painful to hear.
Yeah, only somebody can come from me. That's funny, thank you. You know? Yeah, only person can come from me. This real and true, you know, like just this and this.
Painful to report.
These students will fight in front of anybody.
Our schools are becoming, slowly but surely, becoming war zones.
We invite Winsome to stay with us, yes? Mm-hmm.
All right. We're now going to have the presentation of the print category for the Hector Bernard Theodore Seeley Awards for News. Here are the nominees.
In the print category, Ashley Angwin, The Gleaner Company Media Limited.
For her coverage of the Montego Bay floods alongside Janet Silvera, the stranding of students and other persons among other issues.
Jason Cross, The Jamaica Observer.
For covering of a raw sewage problem in Crossroads, St. Andrew, the firebombing of houses in central Kingston, among other issues.
Jovan Johnson, The Gleaner Company Media Limited.
For his exposure of governance shortcomings in Jamaica's public sector.
Ramardo Lyons, The Jamaica Observer.
For covering the death threats faced by family members of an accused abductor and rapist, patient complaints at Cornwall Regional Hospital, and the gruesome murder of a 14-year-old.
Janet Silvera, The Gleaner Company Media Limited.
For coverage of the Pathways International Church Call to Story, including exclusive interviews.
And the winner of the Hector Bernard Theodore Seeley Award for News in the print category is... From The Gleaner, Janet Silvera.
of Janet's work, the judges said this was an effective story that gripped the nation with shock. They noted that the follow-up was good as well. Great job, Janet. And thank you again to Winsome Column of JPS.
You know, Ryan, quite a few of PAJ awards, including 2 in this Prestige Award category, are named for outstanding journalists who have raised the bar and set standards for those left behind to follow.
That's true, Dahlia. They are gone, but will never be forgotten. The fraternity lost some outstanding stalwarts in 2022, and we now take time to pay tribute to the fallen. Ladies and gentlemen, please turn your attention to the screen.
We will now observe a minute's silence in their memory. May their souls rest in peace.
The next Prestige Award is for Young Journalists of the Year, sponsored by the Jamaica Broilers Group. Please welcome Mrs. Dana Cameron, Group Public Relations Manager at the Jamaica Broilers Group, on stage to present this award.
Here are the nominees for this award.
Ashley Angwin, The Gleaner Company Media Limited.
For her profiles of an advocate for dogs, a single father whose son has cerebral palsy, and a self-taught sculptor.
Rochelle Clayton, The Jamaica Observer.
For stories covering the survivors of a cult killing, a baby who underwent anal reconstructive surgery, and the plight of patients at Cornwall Regional Hospital.
Brittany Hutchinson, The Jamaica Observer.
For reports on the working conditions at call centers, the murder of a mother and her 4 children, and the story of 3 minors who were abused and became pregnant.
Romardo Lyons, The Jamaica Observer.
For reports covering the death threats faced by the family of an accused abductor and rapist, patient complaints at the Cornwall Regional Hospital, and the coverage of the gruesome murder of a 14-year-old.
Robian Williams, Nationwide News Network.
For her piece entitled The Tivoli Incursion 2010 Reflection.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 2022 Press Association of Jamaica Young Journalist of the Year is Romardo Lyons, Jamaica Observer.
The The judges said it was difficult to select Romardo's best story because all three pieces were strong and impactful. The pieces were strengthened by relevant sources who were able to add credibility. Romardo must also be commended for the structure of his submissions, as well as his ability to answer all necessary questions.
Mrs. Cameron to stay with us. As up next is the President's Award for Investigative Journalism, also sponsored by the Jamaica Broilers Group.
The judges' shortlist of nominees for this prestige award include Ricardo Brooks from Nationwide News Network,
for his investigation into a controversial contract between Clarendon Alumina Partner and a company known as CCA Capital Partners.
Vashon Brown, Glenford Campbell, Jelani Campbell, Television Jamaica,
for their documentary Raiding the Barn, a look at predial larceny in Jamaica.
Giovanni Dennis, Ivan Shaw, Houghton West, Television Jamaica,
for their series Development Disorder, an exploration of breaches of residential development across the Jamaica capital.
Latanya Janelle Hall, The Gleaner Company Media Limited,
for her Sunday Gleaner undercover investigation, which revealed that many taxi operators are breaking the law by overcharging commuters on several routes island-wide.
Jovan Johnson, The Gleaner Company Media Limited,
for his Hearty Harvest series, looking at a conflict of interest situation at the Hart NSTA Trust. These stories ultimately led to the resignation of the board chairman.
And the 2022 President's Award for Investigative Journalism goes to Giovanni Davis, Ivan Shaw, and Houghton West of Television Jamaica.
The judges said this is a well-done investigative piece that examines the structural and systematic deficiencies that are evident in the new developments. The reporter speaks to various sources that adds the requisite expertise and voice to the story. A very interesting and informative piece.
We go now to part one of a TVJ News in Focus report on housing development concerns in the corporate area. Residents of Charlemont Drive in St. Andrew argue that new developments in their community are changing its character.
The copy of the permit was obtained from NEPA through an access to information request bearing out the errors. 1. The permit application date is July 3, 2019, but the schedule says it was received and stamped by the NRCA on April 7, 2017. 2. The address for the development is 11 Charlemont Drive, but the schedule has it as 7 Charlemont Avenue.
In part one, we zoned in on red flags in the approval process at one complex on Charlemont Drive. Well, tonight, more breaches, plus what the residents want to be done about it.
With the errors in the environmental permit highlighted, residents want an investigation into the development at 11 Charlemont Drive.
We asked for an audit to be done to ensure that on Charlemont Avenue, everything that is underground is what was approved.
Construction in Jamaica, booming.
Everywhere you look, construction is happening. Everywhere you look, there is a crane. Never before have we ever seen construction like what we're seeing in Jamaica.
But with that boom, concerns about inadequately regulated developments with a plethora of breaches in what's being built versus what was approved.
The government has taken serious note and has been following very closely the many complaints.
Congratulations once again to Giovanni, Ivan, and Newton, and thank you, Jamaica Broilers. And now it's time for the big one. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, are you ready to find out who is the 2022 Press Association of Jamaica's Journalist of the Year?
But first, let's welcome the Executive Vice President, Shared Services for the Sagicor Group, Mr. Carl Williams, on stage to present the award for Journalist of the Year Award.
I feel like we are going to get a drum roll for every nominee this time instead of just the winners. Thank you very much, Fab Five. So the nominees for Journalist of the Year are...
Ricardo Brooks, Nationwide News Network.
For his coverage of the Clarendon Alumina Partners contract scandal and related issues.
Giovanni Dennis, Television Jamaica.
For his coverage of issues related to front-of-package labeling, the regulation of housing developments in the corporate area, work and travel concerns, and school violence.
Jovan Johnson, The Cleaner Company Media Limited.
For his stories investigating governance and public administration in Jamaica.
Jamela Maitland, RGR Cleaner Group.
For her stories covering issues affecting groups such as farmers, road users, at-risk youth, among others.
Kalisha Williams, Television Jamaica.
For her entries covering online scams, the local craft industry, the government's legacy road projects, and other issues.
Now, who got the top prize? Ladies and gentlemen, the person receiving the Sagicor sponsored trophy for Journalist of the Year 2022 is Giovanni Dennis, Television Jamaica.
The judges said Giovanni covered a panorama of important issues related to governance, public health, violence in schools, and corruption. They highlighted his story about breaches at a housing development in the corporate area, saying it examined a perpetual and pervasive issue and exposed the weaknesses by the environmental regulator.
Do you read food labels?
It's not a habit of mine, very rare.
Yes, most definitely.
It's not the brightest time of day here in Fruitfield, Mountainside, St. Elizabeth. It's also not the brightest time for this house that's in grave disrepair. It's the boyhood home of former Prime Minister Donald Sangster. Blurred at their request, but the plight of Shanice and her mother was as clear as the midday sky.
You can just imagine somebody who's not happy. He lose all at $315,000.
Here's how it happened. In 2019, Shanice's mother made her apply for a summer work and a travel program for the summer of 2020 because
she make me proud, so I say I like to send her on the work and travel program.
This apartment complex, the Gwen, has since 2019 been causing unease to residents of Charlemont Drive in St. Andrew. President of the Citizens Association, Anthony Davis, said residents spotted red flags on the approved environment permit by the National Environment and Planning Agency and the Natural Resources Conservation Authority.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Williams, and thank you, Sagicor Group. Congratulations, Giovanni Dennis. The Press Association 2022 Journalist of the Year. Let's put our hands together for him one more time. And also, congratulations to all our nominees and, of course, to all our winners. And thanks to all of you who came out to tonight or those who watched online.
And of course, we want to say thanks to our major sponsors for the night, Sagicor Group. Please, a round of applause while I call the name. Sagicor Group, National Commercial Bank, Red Stripe, Jamdex, Jamaica's Central Bank Digital Currency, as well as all our individual award sponsors. We absolutely couldn't do it without you. Thanks to the amazing Fab Five Band, Jem Myers and Mosaic for the wonderful entertainment. Have a great rest of the night, anyone. Enjoy the Sagicor Awards after party. You know how we party afterwards. And see you at the 2023 Awards, which will be staged at the regular time in November this year. I'm Delia Harris.
And I'm Ryan Dixon.
God bless.
Have a good night.
this passion inside.
IWTS representative was Wayne Harrison.
To many taxi operators,